Good day. The following presentation is all about the examination-based contact classes of 2018 for the subject Investigation of Crime 1A, your certificate of policing. The scope of this presentation is your tutor introduction. My introduction aims what these contact classes are for, the structure of your examination, the continuous assessment and calculation of the marks, the examination preparation and tips, course outline, what you need to look at, and then the conclusion. My name is George Hogop. I'm currently with the Bank of Namibia, the FIC. I have been, my qualifications are one of a BTEC degree, forensic investigation, that I've obtained with UNISA. In the relevant experience of policing that I have obtained through 25 years of policing. Now, finer detail on the qualifications you can continue reading through. My very first slides will be able to explain to you as to where I have spent much of my time, whatever I've been doing within the policing career and my current career. The contact classes is held to prepare students for examinations that are due in 2018. The best possible way to help you to do well. Explain how the examination structure will be. Explain to you the continuous assessment and calculation of marks, and give you basic tips on it. Now, the structure of the examination paper is that it will consist of 4 main questions containing sub-questions. Total of 120 points. You may be required to answer one of 2 questions. In example, choose between, for example, 4.1 or 4.2. Question marks would be ranging between 3 and 25 points. You may be expected to discuss, summarize, outline, define, or list, and or analyze specific matters. And all the questions in the question paper would be coming from the study guide of IOL. The continuous assessments is calculated. The inclusion of this continuous assessment and calculation of these marks in this presentation is to ensure that you as the student take examination marks very seriously and also align your work or your study work accordingly. The exam would be 2.5 hours long, 2 hours 30 minutes, written examination of 120 marks. With the continuous assessment, a final pass mark of 50% is required, calculated by 60% of the examination mark and 40% of your continuous assessment mark. A sub-minimum of 50% must be attained in the examinations. For example, if your assessment mark is 50 and examination mark is 50, it will be calculated as follows. 40% of 50 would be 20 points, which is 50 times 40 divided by 100. And your examination mark would be calculated 60% of 50, which equals 30. So it will be calculated at 50 times 60 divided by 100. The final mark would then be 50. The markings and examination papers are moderated. Now, during the examination, following a few of the tips that are, and you can read through the others, but it is important for you to note that it is important to understand what is given for you here. Write clearly and legibly. Structure your answers through headings and numbers in logical sequence. Please, this usually becomes a problem in exams. If you have a paragraph that you need to write, unless otherwise specifically instructed to write in a paragraph form, put your points in bullet form or number it or find something, but it should be through headings and numbers and follow a logical sequence. Make sure that your student number and all details required are correctly entered on the answer sheet, right in blue or black ink. refrain from cheating. Refrain or avoid dumping irrelevant and relevant facts at the same time, because this may result in you losing a lot of points. No unauthorized materials need to be taken in. This should be common by this time, but people still devise ways to get things into the exam room. Should you be responsible for any irregularities during the writing of the examination, you may, the head of or examinations or invigilator will collect your answering script. You will be requested to make a declaration as to what happened. The answer script and evidence declared will be submitted to the irregularity committee for verification. No examination marks will be allocated to you for that particular subject. You may be suspended from studies for that particular subject at IOL for 12 months or 2 consecutive examination sessions. It is also an infringement of the examination regulations to assist or try to assist anyone else, so please don't do that. No cell phones. If you have one, it should be switched off. So it's rather advisable to have it or leave it outside, because usually you may forget. It may happen that you forget, and if it goes off, you may be disturbing others. You may not leave the examination room during the first 30 minutes or during the last 15 minutes. Late arrivals, more than 30 minutes, you may be, it may be confirmed that it will be a no turn up basically if you come 30 minutes late, and that's how it will be entered. You are reminded that the question paper answering paper remains the property of IOL. You may not keep it or remove it or take pages thereof away. All of them must be handed in. Should you need additional paper to write on, please speak to the invigilator or the person that is in the exam room. Answers on any other paper will not be considered for marking. Rough work should be done on the question paper or paper provided. You must sign the checklist. Smoking and eating in the exam rooms are prohibited. Do not dive into writing. Please, when you receive your exam paper, go through it before you start deciding what the answer should be, and closely study the question in order to, because there usually is guidance on the question as to what specifically you need to address. For questions with 20 marks, write at least 1.5 pages and more, not half of the page for 20 marks. Then we go into the scope. What is it that you need to look at for the exams? Vehicle accidents, background to Namibian police mandate, instances when to open a police case, investigations of vehicle accidents. You should be able to discuss investigations of motor vehicle accidents according to different facets. For example, injured persons, killed persons, witnesses. These are different investigations that are all within the ELO 1. So you must be able to distinguish between them and be able to discuss them. Responsibilities of police members at scenes of accidents where someone is killed or injured. The sketch plan. Please, these basic steps in drawing rough sketch of an accident scene, in example, north direction, right sketch plan. This has been a concern throughout my teaching, especially with sketch plans. There are basic questions on sketch plans. There is a lengthy explanation as to what has transpired before you get into drafting the sketch plan. Look at the basic things that you need to add. For example, the simple thing that you need to add is the north direction, the name of whatever you're doing. For example, sketch plan. Those are basic things that needs to be added to a sketch plan. If you don't understand and you want me to clearly explain to you, or please make arrangements, call me, send me an email. I'm more than willing to explain, because sketch plans has become more as if people, and it's understandable, you may not be able to understand or know what exactly you need to draw or what you need to do. But it's important to look at the questions and relate the questions to whatever the explanations are. And as I said, basic things that needs to be on a sketch plan for starters is the direction from which this accident or sketch is being noted down, and then things like the sketch plan, the name sketch plan itself. So those are basic things that you need to have, apart from looking at the question itself. Safety precautions at road traffic checkpoints, other law enforcement divisions that can be attended to, that can attend to RTCPs. Exit learning tool, couple homicide, unnatural deaths, and suicide. You may find that some of the facts are interlinked to many of these different investigations that are dealt with. For example, couple homicide, unnatural deaths, and suicide. There may be one or two facts that entangles or that it appears in all of them. So please make sure that you understand each one of them separately. Under these headings, you may find other law enforcement agents attend to road RTCPs, the difference between couple homicide and murder, all about investigating case of couple homicide. Example, how is it investigated, witnesses' statements, what should they contain, the culpability of it, and etc. Investigation of a case of suicide, all about investigating a case of an unnatural death, causes thereof, responsibilities of an IO, etc. It is important to be able to distinguish between these ones. ELO3, driving under the influence, public indecency, obstruction of course of justice. This is dealing with Section 40 of the Criminal Procedure Act, which is dealing with arrest. Stipulations of Section 50 of the Criminal Procedure Act. What are the procedures after a person has been arrested? Section 1 of Road Traffic Act 22 of 1919. Within this one, there's usually the defining of the driver, the vehicle, motor vehicle, and public road. Those need to be distinguished and known. Section 82 of the Road Traffic Act stipulates that driving while under the influence of intoxicating drug, having a narcotic effect with excessive amount of alcohol blood, collection, labeling, and marking of blood samples. That's one other area. Elements of public indecency, obstruction of the course of justice. And Section 37 of the CPA gives you powers obtaining prints and bodily appearance of accused to any police official after the commission of a crime. It is important to differentiate and know the various provisions. I mean, for example, if someone has been arrested, there's usually a procedure where you need to give fingerprints. If you do not give the fingerprints, there may be an application according to Section 37 to forcefully obtain those fingerprints. So it's important for you to differentiate and know the various provisions. Difference between indecent conduct and unlawful exposure of the body and conduct in public. Sometimes these things sound similar, but yet there is a difference in them. You need to know that difference. Investigating public indecency and details contained in the statement, guidelines for investigating a case of obstruction of justice, elements of conduct and obstruct the course of justice. In terms of the wording, defeating and obstructing, very important. Know your definitions. If there is a definition that you need to know, please know them. In conclusion, one fact, one mark. Framework of exam investigation requires that you know and understand all concepts and techniques. Number your facts or use bullet points, as has been alluded earlier. Please make sure that you number them or whatever. It doesn't matter how you number them, whether it's bullets or whether it is numbering. Please make sure that you number them. Avoid dumping irrelevant facts with relevant facts, because then you would expect me to to search for the correct answer. In example, writing 20 facts instead of 10 may result in only one fact being, or the first 10 facts to be looked at. You'll be losing. If your answer is in the last 10, you may lose them. Follow the instructions closely. Use your best handwriting. Short questions may also be included, and I'm wishing you the best with your assignment and examination preparations. Thank you.